going on, guys? I had a serpentine pelt break on this car, and before I changed it I looked up some videos on how to do it. Couldn't find any, so I figured I'd go ahead and make one. It's not the easiest belt to change in the world, but it can be done. This is a 2013 Fiat 500 Abarth. It's got about 55,000 miles on it. Really, you should be replacing your belt after every 50 to 70,000 miles. I got this car used with about 50,000 on it, kind of assumed the belt had already been changed, and then it kind of broke on me on the highway. But all you need is the new belt, obviously. That's going to be part number 500K5. It's 500 kilo 5. You can get that at any auto parts store. You're going to need a 15mm socket, 13mm socket, and a pair of slip joint pliers, locking pliers, anything you can get a hose clamp off with, and a screwdriver, and a 10mm socket. And you need a jack as well, obviously. So what we did here, you see, I got the wheel off. Taking the wheel off is not worth me explaining how to do, but then as you can see right there, that's your crankshaft pulley. So what you have to do is you have to take this whole fender liner off, because you got the big plastic fender liner right here. It's just a couple of trim screws up and over. There's one hidden right here that goes up and under into the, I don't know what you call it, the bumper, I guess. That comes off the whole thing, and there's another smaller panel that comes right here, right over it. Technically you could just take that small panel off, but it's underneath, the screws are underneath the fender liner, so I just took everything off. And then there's this bar right here, these two 15mm bolts that are right here and here, and you just got to take that off so you can get to it. First thing you got to do is take the old belt off. I use a knife, just cut it off, because you'll see in a second, but the tensioner is a pain. Next thing, you just take that new belt and you route it over. Let me rephrase that. You route it under the timing pulley, the crankshaft pulley, and see if I can get this in focus here. There we go, much better. You route it over. I don't know if you guys can see, but the tensioner pulley's right there. And then you're going to route it under the alternator right here. And I don't even know if you can do this with one person. It took me two. I had another person up at the top pulling the belt over the AC compressor, which is back here. And in order to get to that, you really have to take off the turbo inlet hose. And if you want to make it 10 times easier on yourself, you take off this coolant return hose right here. That's just the simplest, taking off that hose clamp and just moving it over to the side. Anyway, once you got it over those pulleys and you got somebody up here standing to pull it over, once you take the tension off, you're going to need this 15mm wrench right here. Now, that right there, get you in focus, that right there, that is the loaner tensioner tool that you can get from any auto parts store. It's like 40 bucks. You can use it for 60 days, 90 days, depending on where you get it. It's not going to work. You don't have enough room to use it. Because once you get that wrench on there and you start pulling it this way, this right here is going to keep you from pulling the wrench any further than you have to. Eventually you're going to have the wrench up against here, and you're still not going to be able to get it over the pulley. Trust me, I spent a couple hours on the side of the road trying to fix this thing, and it didn't work. So all you got to do is you got to take this. You saw that rag over there. I just used it because you're going to be putting a lot of force on this. If you have a longer one, I would definitely recommend using it. You're not going to be able to fit a socket over there, so you can't get a breaker bar in there. So it's going to have to be a wrench, unless you have a crowfoot socket. But you just take this and you're going to slip it over Apologies for anybody who knows how to do this, but I want to make sure I cover all my bases here. You just slip it over the pulley, not on the actual pulley itself, not on the other end of the tensioner, on the actual pulley. Take that, you pull it towards the front of the car. Like I said, it takes a whole lot of force, so be ready. And you're gonna just pull it as far as you can until that person up top says that they got the belt on. Once you got all that taken care of, you just pretty much put everything back together and turn it on and make sure it doesn't blow up, which I'm about to do in a minute once I get all this taken care of.